The 9 Years Podcast.
Hello, and thank you for downloading episode 20 of the 9 Years Podcast, the weekly AFC Women audio fanzine with myself, Nick Draper, joined once again by Stuart Deakins. Just a little reminder for you, if you are listening on iTunes, just click that subscribe button. Keep us going up the charts on the iTunes charts as one of the most listened to podcasts in the world, and certainly continuing to be the number one most listened to AFC Wimbledon podcast currently available. Bit of a strange show this week because we don't really have a game to look back on. In fact, we had a football-free Saturday last weekend. Stu, what did you do with your week away from first team action?
I don't like free weekends because normally, I think the good thing about football is football plans your Saturday, so you sort of like can just go with the flow. But yeah, nothing planned. So what did I do? Well, my fiance was working, so I had a morning at a gym, and then we just went for a drive in the afternoon because she had a new hire car, which she wanted to get used to. So we literally went for a drive, and I forgot about the FA Cup. And yeah, it was a weird one. I don't like free weekends, I mean, truthful. I listened to Soccer Saturday and then watched the Chelsea game in the afternoon, or late afternoon, sorry, which is always good when Chelsea are on TV at the moment because they don't play well. But yeah, not good. But I understand you've done the bog standard stuff, Nick, this weekend of Christmas shopping.
You did phone me on Saturday afternoon at some point, and I was out Christmas shopping, and I will explain my Saturday to the listeners. I'm sure they're all very excited to hear it. Before I do, I just have to clarify a couple of things with you. Hire car, your fiance's Lorraine's new hire car, is that a car on stilts? What is that? I don't understand.
No, for anyone that knows me, we have a small Peugeot 107. And my fiance is doing a bit of travelling with work at the moment, and that little Peugeot 107 will not make it up and down the motorway to Manchester, which is where she is, this week. So, yeah, got a hire car, which is nice. It was a nice car, actually. Yeah, nice car. So we went for a test ride. But yeah, not really something I want to be doing on Saturday. I'd rather be at football, but hey, at least we didn't lose. That's always a positive, isn't it?
See, it's funny you should mention that, Stu, because actually I got my foot run over by a rental car on the weekend.
Hurts?
No, Europe car. Anyway, the other clarification I just wanted to make about your weekend was, of course, that sounds like a pretty good Saturday for me, that you were watching Chelsea in the evening. I wouldn't normally say this, but it was hilarious. It's continually hilarious how bad Chelsea continue to be. And losing to Bournemouth, I didn't actually see that coming, despite how bad Chelsea have been. So I did enjoy that when I woke up to that result on Saturday, because, as you say, I was Christmas shopping. I did raise myself out of my bed somehow in the morning, following a 14-hour day that I worked on Friday, Stu. I am exhausted as I speak right now. Following on, by the way, we're recording this after 2 nights' worth of parents' evening, which have been another 12-13-hour days. This is ridiculous. Don't become a teacher. If you're listening and you think it's a good idea, it's not. Don't do it. You don't have a life.
And for all those who feel sorry for Nick at this moment, he gets 6 weeks off in the summer. Or was it 8 weeks now, Nick? And then another 2 in the Christmas, and another 2 at Easter.
Well, we break up for Christmas on the 18th, Stu, and when do you go away on holiday?
I go away on the 20th.
And when do you come back?
I don't know. Actually, I come back on the 28th. 27th, actually, saying that. 27th, but I moved to Exeter away, which is disappointing.
See, your Christmas holidays are just as good as mine. Okay, I'll grant you the 6 weeks in the summer, but I will be needing it by that point.
Of course.
I've barely got the energy to speak at this moment in time. But yeah, my Christmas shopping was great fun. I managed, despite spending many an hour roaming the streets of Kingston, which I tend to do on a Saturday anyway, I managed to buy the sum total of 3 Christmas presents. It wasn't the most successful trip.
Well, I'm online. I wouldn't go shopping. I don't go shopping at all. I can't remember the last time I actually went into a shopping mall or something, or I just get it online.
See, I do enjoy the sort of Christmas time buzz around the shops, going into Kingston. I'm sure At some point over the next couple of weeks, I'll be popping into Oxford Circus down Regent Street as well. I do get a bit carried away with the Christmas kind of shopping buzz.
I'll be on a sunbed and it'll be done by then. And the best Christmas present I can give to people is I'll Skype them on Christmas Day, and that'll be their Christmas present. They should be thankful of that, I reckon.
Don't forget also, listeners, that if you want a really great Christmas present from myself and Stu, that we will be uploading the show as usual on Christmas Eve. So maybe if you want to, you could wait to download it on Christmas Day and start your Christmas Day with a very special Christmas edition of the 9 Years podcast. It's so exciting, we've got nothing else to add to that. Let's, as you can tell, we're obviously struggling.
I was thinking what I was going to actually put on that. I was thinking, what more could you want on Christmas Eve? We could talk about Christmas presents and Christmas joy and...
No Christmas presents, no time with the family, no time off work, just a day to do nothing. No, it's just the podcast. That's what every AFC Wimbledon fan is looking forward to on Christmas Eve / Christmas morning.
Of course.
Of course. We didn't have a game this week to talk about, listeners. That's why we're, what's the word? Padding, I think, is the official radio term. Fortunately, the Under-21s were in action this week. And before we get on to our sort of main topics for today, we're going to be talking about the upcoming meeting regarding the new stadium, which this podcast is being released on Thursday morning. So hopefully a number of you are listening to it before we have this meeting in advance of Thursday evening. We will be talking about that. We'll catch up with a few other bits and pieces around the club. But before we get, let's have a catch up with that Under-21 game on Monday night at Merstham. Stu, you were in attendance doing some fantastic updates via our Twitter account at 9YRS Podcast and also some Periscope as well at AFCW Scope. We were playing AFC Bournemouth in a battle of teams that have AFC prefixes for no other reason than to get themselves top of the table before a ball is kicked in the season. And how did we get on?
Yeah, well, for those of you obviously who followed the Twitter, which, I actually did enjoy doing, actually, and seeing get some good feedback on it. We won 6-2 against a... It's difficult to know sometimes with Under-21s, and I expected Bournemouth to have a bit of strength in depth in the Under-21s, and I think they did, but also Bournemouth have gone through the leagues reasonably quickly, haven't they? So I wouldn't say they are a typical Under-21 Premiership strength team, otherwise they'd probably be playing in that Under-21 Premier League. They did include two players who were involved on Saturday at Chelsea. They had their captain, which the name forgives me. I did say what his name was. It was a really...
Bailey.
Bailey, that's it.
Bailey, of course, because we spoke about this. Bailey is the current WWE NXT Women's Champion.
That's right. Yeah,
as we all know.
I didn't like it. To be fair, as I was going through the teams, I did have a quick chat with Simon Bassey, who was at the game. Name drop. And he did straight away point out the player called Bailey Carhill, who is a centre-half, was their captain on the night. He was on the bench at Chelsea this weekend. And also number 11 for Bournemouth was a player called Jordan Green, who... everything that went through well for Bournemouth went through him, and he was pretty decent. He was on the squad for the Chelsea game, but didn't get to the bench. And also another one that it was really weird. I was waiting in the Merstham bar, and there was a Spanish family that come in saying about, is there a game here? And I'm thinking, I know Bournemouth are in the Premiership, but I didn't think it was stretched to Under-21s. But actually it transpired they were there as a player called Thomas Andrade. And if you look up his name, he is on loan at Bournemouth from River Plate in Argentina with a view to a £3.5 million transfer fee. And I looked up, and actually he was played a tournament in the Under-17 World Cup a couple of years ago. So, yeah, it was interesting. It was all right. It wasn't too bad. We did kick him a few times. He did score a penalty.
It's a bit random when you think of a player worth that value, with all due respect, is playing at Merstham. It's sometimes difficult to get my head around these things, considering when we first learnt of Merstham, and let's not lie about this, we had no idea this football club existed before we had to play them in the Combined Counties League. And all of a sudden, it's just bizarre, isn't it?
You're right, yeah. Like I say, I had a quick read up of him, like I say, I was given a heads up by Chris Slavin, who's the media guy at Wimbledon, and he sort of said that's who it was, no name drop. So, yeah, I had a look. But interesting. Yeah, interesting. I don't know, Under-21s. Yeah, I don't know if I didn't look to see if he'd been involved in the first team at all. I didn't recognise the name, but always interesting to see what players other teams have got. But yeah, to the game. So we started with a quite strong team. David Fitzpatrick returns from his loan spell at Tunbridge Angels. He had played. They did play on Saturday, so it was his second game in 3 days. These Premiership stars would never do that, but of course our players will. He set a goal up for Nathan Elder, who's at Tunbridge Angels on Saturday. They lost 3-2 at home to Burgess Hill, but he was back in. Tom Beer's still out on loan with Bishop Stortford. But although he was a sub, which is interesting, they lost 2-1 at home to Basingstoke, who are bottom of the Conference South, but he come on after about 60-odd minutes, so I'm not too sure whether he's fallen out of favour or anything like that. It's a bit of a shame, but I think Tom will be back soon. I know, chatting to a few people at the club, apparently Tunbridge Angels did want to keep Fitzpatrick, but he was very keen to come back and fight for a place in the first team. So
it sounds like he did his chances of a first team place, or at least an appearance in the squad, of the world of good with his performance.
He did, yeah. He played. He started the game wide left. We played 2 under-18 players up front. One I hadn't seen either actually. Like Dan Anno, I hadn't seen before. He looked decent. There's also a player who I tried to pronounce his name, and to be fair, I failed miserably, and then was told by Claire, that one of my good friends, Claire, that they just call him T. That was good enough for me. That stuck with me. But yeah, 2 under-18s. To be fair, they caused Bournemouth all sorts of problems with the pace. It was really interesting. They played with Fitzpatrick on the left and Ajikaja on the right, and then in midfield they had Christian Tunga and Danny Gallagher. So we had a really good attacking presence. Ryan Sweeney was captain. I don't know what they were feeding him on over in Ireland, but he looks like he's shot up again. He's a size and a half, isn't he? I must admit.
It scares me that Ryan Sweeney does not appear to be he's not stopped growing since the age of, blimey, how long have I known him? For the age of 13. He was a man at the age of 13, so I dread to think what he's like now.
Well, I think he's still a man. I don't think he's changed sexuality yet. I don't think. I'm joking. Yeah, I know what you mean. He was a boy then. He was a boy. He's now a man.
There we go.
How did he? Is he 18, 19? Well, he's in the under-19s, isn't he? He's under-19s Rhode Island team, isn't he? So
I had to do some quick maths, but he must be 18, 19 now.
Yeah, so he's still growing. I must admit, I was sitting there thinking, I saw this time last year, Will Nightingale playing for Under-21s, captain, and I just looked at them and thought, crikey, Will and Ryan as centre halves would be for me, who I'm always I'm built up on the old traditions of bringing your youth into your first team. How good would it be to have Will and Ryan Sweeney as centre halves?
It would be fantastic, if slightly a bit weird for me.
Of course, yeah, for yourself, but so that's how we started. So yeah, we early lead by Dan Anno, shot in inside the keeper's left hand. Then they equalised through a penalty through that guy Thomas I was talking about. Then Kajiaja got taken out in the area, stepped up and knocked it into the top corner from the penalty spot, which is encouraging because none of our first team can take penalties at the moment. After that, we took off one of the kids called T because he's got obviously an important under-18 FA Cup at Watford on Friday. So we tried to obviously make sure we didn't totally wear them out. They then moved David Patrick up front, which I've seen him play before. Within first attack, he scored, made it 3-1, 3-2, come very quickly after that with Bournemouth scoring. And then after that, a long ball Fitzpatrick got on to the end of, and then probably the goal of the game where a move involving Christian Tunga slid in Kajiaja. What is his name? Ejikaja.
There we go.
Can we get him as nickname, please? Just call him Ejikaja.
Edgy.
He literally stood the ball up to the 6-yard area and Fitzpatrick got his hat-trick.
Very good.
No idea.
Would you call him David Fitz-hat-trick?
Fitzpatrick. And then after that, Danny Gallagher finished off the scoring. So 6-2 didn't flatter us. Their keeper, to be fair, made some really good saves. Could have been a lot more, but Yeah, decent game. Like I say, if you've not been down, I've said it many times before, but get yourself down there. You know, Neil Hardy was down there again. Neil Cox was down there.
Name drop.
There wasn't many other people there. I saw Ian Pearce, who was the old
West Ham Blackburn.
Yeah, he was there.
Okay.
I don't know who he's scouting for nowadays. I had a quick check on Wikipedia, but he's not actually with someone. But I think he was looking at Bournemouth players, or I don't know who he's looking at, to be honest with you. But he left after about 80 minutes, but I noticed he was down there. But no, so we've got another game on Monday night. We've got Cambridge United at home at Middlesbrough. So if you're not doing anything, get yourself down there. The Under-21s doing very well at the moment.
Sounds all very promising. It sounds good that we've got a lot of names there that we've mentioned that have already had some first team experience as well, just proving that link is there from the youth to the first team. Interesting there that you mentioned Ian Pearce's name. It's just struck me in the last week or so. I've just been reading the newspapers and everything about the number of names that are linked or in posts at football clubs that I'd have totally forgotten about, but they're still around in the game, and it just makes you remember. You mentioned Ian Pearce from that sort of generation of sort of mid-90s Premier League era. I saw the other day Jason Wilcox. Do you remember that name?
Yeah, Blackburn winger. Yeah.
Heavily involved at the youth set-up at Manchester City, which came as a surprise to me, but he was a good player back in the day. And Steve Walsh at Leicester, I think, is in charge of their recruitment.
Steve Walsh is. I think he was there. I don't know where else. I know he's been involved with Leicester quite a long. Obviously, he was a centre half, wasn't he, at Leicester when they had him, and who's the other Fugs? Not Fugs, sorry, centre half at Leicester. I remember that team very well. It was a team that would never get bullied off the ball. Emma Heskey, Steve Walsh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, obviously Robbie Savage in midfield. Who thought he was a hard nut, but wasn't a hard nut. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Steve Walsh. I think he's been involved with him for a little while, but. It's interesting, you're right, with these names. They sort of get involved. I think the sensible ones nowadays are the ones that actually stay involved in a youth capacity, or because they're not the ones that really ever get sacked. This
is true.
They sort of, I noticed the other day, Neil Sullivan is the Under-21 coach at Leeds. That's probably the safest place to be with that. And I also remember that, I remember seeing that the Brentford boss, who was the one?
Lee Carsley, who said exactly what you're saying. The manager is not for him.
They're the central ones. If you stay in the youth football, you're developing players. So realistically, you're not going to be losing your job. So it's probably a bit more of a, some people like a limelight. What was I saying?
I don't know. We'll ask Edgy Cardia or Cardieggi, whatever his name is.
Oh dear. Some people like a limelight, but I think, you know what, there must be decent enough money for these players in youth academies and that. And Lee Carsley was quite happy to get out of the limelight, wasn't he? But the Walsall boss has gone in and out, hasn't he? So.
Well, that was, I mean, we might as well talk about it. We've still got a bit of we're a bit freer this week to sort of see where the conversation takes us. Because that appointment did surprise me, and we'll touch on Brentford in a little bit about when we're talking about stadiums and that. So we'll mention them now. Do you think? Yeah. So Dean Smith, who's been mentioned on this podcast before, done a good job at Walsall, and his departure actually means that Neil Ardley continues to rise up the longest-serving managers list, staying in one place. You think it's a strange move to leave an upwardly mobile club like Walsall for what is a bit of, I think, it's a risky position at Brentford, considering what their owner's been doing in recent times.
Yeah, I think you've got to buy into the philosophy at Brentford, isn't it? They very much do the number crunching and do the statistical side of it. I think Walsall's a weird one. Walsall he's built a decent team there, hasn't he? But you have to wonder, are they going to be able to, they look like they're in a decent position to probably get promoted this season to Championship, but would they then take the next step? I think Brentford, with the pending move into a new stadium, I can see I can see why it's attractive. Not sure how long he was at Walsall. It must have been looking, a good 3.5, 4 years, maybe a bit longer than that.
In that region, yeah.
So maybe you get to a stage, don't you, where you maybe just think, I've probably taken it as far as I can go, or you can probably see the next step being going to the Championship and maybe not trying to stay up. So interesting one. Brentford, obviously another cracking result on the weekend, but they're doing well. Like I say, we've got some parallels with Brentford with the supporters trust and stuff like that, and hopefully, as we'll allude to a little while, we'll get the similar news of a new stadium being granted as they did a couple of years ago.
Yeah, we'll get to the stadium now then. I think that's a good point to get to. I will just, before I say that, of course, naturally the FA Cup third round draw brought up the potential clash between Brentford and Walsall in the third round. These things always tend to happen, don't they? It's like the balls were... It's like they were heated balls or something like that. And there's a soundbite for you in the Christmas show.
Is the FA Cup still going on then? Because I know there's some sort of draw going on last night, wasn't there?
It's a little bit strange, as I say, that Walsall... It must be European time now that Walsall are in it, and they've got a game against Brentford. But still going, and Liverpool have got drawn away to a League Two side. That's never happened before, has it?
We had a laugh last night because this time last year, when the draw was on, I was Under-21 game also at Merstham. The draw was on the TV in the boardroom.
Yeah,
and it was on. It was exactly the same. It was on, and people go, "Do you want to watch the FA Cup draw?" I was like, "No." And I just remember us drawing Liverpool, and I remember Eric and David Charles both chatting to them, and Eric got a call from a Liverpool journalist within
Chris Lavin.
5 minutes. No, Chris Lavin was being taken a mick off at the time. I think Neil Cox and that were really taking a mick out of him, saying that he wouldn't be allowed into the ground on that day. I'm sure they found a way in. Most Liverpool fans do, don't they?
One way or another.
But no, Liverpool journalist phoned Eric within 5 minutes asking for a story about the draw. So that was, I think, the first time they realised that the draw was quite a big draw for us. And yeah, it was a bit depressing really when the draw was being done. So I really didn't realise that Brentford had drawn Walsall. So that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think Walsall have to win a replay first against Chesterfield, who made the outstanding managerial appointment in the summer of Dean Saunders, only then to let him go when they realised that Dean Saunders should not be managing your football club. But Exeter got Liverpool this time round. Do you know, it's interesting when they mentioned Exeter being in the third round for the first time since they played Manchester United all those years ago, and that sort of saved their football club. And they've been in the third round since. It's incredible, really, isn't it?
No, it's interesting because their youth team got to the FA Youth, because they've got a good youth team actually, haven't they? So I know they've done very well in getting to the... I think they got to the latter round of the Premier League Cup, which I know sounds silly, but they do allow clubs to come in at an earlier stage. But their youth types have done well. But that's a decent draw for them. Exeter knocked out Port Vale, didn't they?
They did.
On the weekend. So that's good for Exeter. Hopefully there'll be more sidetracked on that game when we play them just after Christmas.
Just after Christmas. And of course, Carlisle United won their second round tie on the weekend away at Welling. So our game against them in early January will have to be rearranged. So we might have another football-free Saturday to contend with in January. And who knows what you and I will be talking about come that week.
Well, maybe with Carlisle, they'll probably be practising water polo, won't they? We would have thought.
Yeah, nice. Good to see you've got some sympathy and some solidarity there with the people of Cumbria there, Stu.
I'm joking. But what goes on with that? Their defences are stupid. Their defences are not good, to be fair. They're football team, are they? Do you know what I mean? But what's going on with Carlisle? That's not the first time that's happened, has it, really, at Carlisle?
It's not, to be fair. The photos you see of it, you're thinking, I've seen that photo before many times. The government are coming for a bit of stick about their lack of funding for flood defence. I think they cut the budget quite... what are we talking about? What has happened to this show? We started talking about politics. My word. Perish the thought.
What I will say, though, and I will balance that, the Carlisle, Keith Curl, I'm not a lover of Keith Curl after he left us from Man City. I don't know grudges. But he did make his team available on Tuesday after training to go and help out anyone who needed help. And I did notice on Twitter on Tuesday that Charlie Wyke was asking anyone needed help. They were in the vicinity of the ground, etc., and if they needed anything to help. And I believe all their players did help anyone move furniture, get rid of stuff, and I think that's really good. That's what you say, keeping the community, and it's good to see that the club have offered that gesture.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you there. Let's talk then. We've mentioned Carlisle Stadium. We were talking previously about Brentford Stadium. D-Day is today, and I do use the phrase today. I know some of you might be listening on a Friday or Saturday before a game with Stevenage, or whenever you download and listen to the show. And I noticed that our viewing figures, honestly, our listening figures. It's radio, it's audio. Anyway, our listening figures throughout the week sort of are very consistent throughout the week. So I think a lot of you might be listening later on, but we do launch this on the Thursday morning. So later today, as we speak, Merton Civic Centre, as we touched on last week in Morden, will be hosting the final planning meeting about the stadium and the ability to turn the Greyhound Stadium into our new home for AFC Wimbledon FC. I've got a copy of the South London Press in front of me, a fine local newspaper that, I don't know, has I think personally, some fantastic journalists covering our matches twice a week. Some of the finest journalism you'll see this side of the Thames. I'm just using this to summarise some of the key points for where we are at today, okay, or later today, this evening. It is in what I'll say is about the meeting where they're going to sort of tick or cross basically the planning application, which we're all expecting, and I'm touching wood and, I don't know, throwing salt over my shoulder and stroking my rabbit's foot, which is not a euphemism for anyone listening. With some good luck.
Where'd you get them from? Chucking salt over your shoulder?
Yeah, it's like superstitions, aren't they? Or things for good luck. Like touching wood. And again, that's not, I mean, like pine or something, not... Anyway. Oh, man. Podcast overboard, isn't it? I tell you.
You're in a restaurant, you just chuck your salt over your shoulder. I'm sure that'd be inconvenient for the people that are over that side.
It's behind you, but, well, it happens. I see it a lot, I must admit.
Cool.
But it should be... We are expecting the green light to be given, okay, at the Merton Civic Centre later today. There is room in the debating chamber for about 50 people to go and attend, and obviously they're expecting a lot of people to turn up. So if you would like to be part of this historic moment and make the journey there, I will be honest, it is possibly and very unlikely that you will be able to actually enter the chamber itself, but there will be TV screens on the outside that are going to broadcast it live. There'll be screens put up in the reception area for about 150 extra people, and also, unless this has changed, at time of going to press for this podcast, the debate will also be streamed live on the Merton Council website. But once again, be warned, I have a feeling that might be liable to crash due to numbers. But anyway, this is obviously the combination of a lot of hard work by a lot of people, obviously including Eric at the club, but a lot of members of the Dons Trust as well, and a number of the Dons Trust board that have worked hard to make sure that other votes have been ticked, other boxes have been ticked, to enable us to leave Kingsmeadow and set up home in our spiritual home, really, of Wimbledon. And we should be expecting, what says in the newspaper here, 12,000 seat stadium to begin with, to be approved, with 600 homes and a shop and other facilities and amenities at the stadium. It's meeting has been it's been on the cards for a long time now. We've been waiting for this meeting for a while, and councillors at Merton are likely to hear pleas almost evidence, almost like in front of a jury, from people supporting the application and some people that might object to it as well. I think they're given some time, a very small period of time, to sort of plead their case one way or another. But I think we have now addressed all that needs to be addressed. Any objections we have taken on board and addressed things as ridiculous as what people have come up with to try and derail the plans, such as high flood risk area or whatever it might be. We've addressed them all, so we should be getting the yes vote. Stu, are you planning on attending this meeting, or are you going to be like me? I can't make it. I'd like to.
Yeah,
online.
I'm on two minds. I'm tempted to. I'm going to make a decision later today on that, whether I'm going to go down. I think, yeah, it will get streamed live. I do agree with what you're saying, that it's got a possibility of crashing. I think there'll be a lot of interest in this, so maybe we'll pop down there. It's really weird, isn't it? I must have, earlier in the week, I had a look through. There's about a 233-page document that's been released on it, and I wasn't that bored that I wanted to read through all of it. But one thing I've done I remember being at a Dons Trust meeting probably about 2 years ago, in when Eric, I think he alluded before the meeting that there'd be some interesting news on ground, and I remember the first time I'd seen Eric happy or smiling about talking about a new ground, and it was very much a case of it was the first time that we really started to get an inkling that a possibility that Merton Council wanted to work with us, and I think it was I think there was a speech, I believe, or something like that, and it was also they were saying that the council had approached us at potential sites. And I think it's the first time I remember it. So it must be about two and a half years ago. Mm-hmm. I think since then, I think I've tried to not get too excited, just because these things take a long while to get to where we're going to get to later today. So detail-wise, 12,000 seater stadium. Is there a potential up to 20,000? Yeah. I had a look through the documentation. One thing I did notice, which was interesting, is it has a phase list of what phases would happen, and I think there's 3 phases. The first would be obviously preparation, the land, etc. But it said I think it said something along the lines of 7 to 8 months of the actual land being prepared. So I imagine that would be the current structure being demolished. Yeah. It did say that the 11-seater stadium would be completed within 18 months.
Yeah, I think if work starts shortly, in other words, if we're given the green light, I think work will begin towards the end of next year. Construction work, this is. Yeah, the site will be cleared, and we'll be able to start rebuilding in about 12 months' time.
So I think, from what I remember them saying, they were looking to get us in for the 2017-2018 season.
I think I think they've sort of pushed that back just to be on the safe side to the following season.
Possibly, but you sort of see how quick we could potentially be in. It was nice to see the first page of it, basically with a recommendation, and the recommendation is to approve it. So that's really encouraging. You know, we're going in there. I think the Greyhound Stadium application has been, I think, just judging by their noise, it's been defeated. I can't see there being much protest towards it. I may be wrong, but I can't see there being, or if there is anything, I can't see it being anything that's not been ticked off by the club. I think one thing you have to say, whoever's actually had their hands involved with this application, going from Eric to Don's Trust to the steering board and stuff like that, an excellent job has been done to get us to this stage. And yeah, we obviously know that it's probably likely to be called in by the Mayor of London, probably because of the size of it. It's just makes it sensible that it'll get called in. So I think the main thing is, let's get it approved. If we find out tomorrow, great. I don't know whether they will tell us, but as we said last week, word of mouth will get out very quickly. And I think it could be that Christmas present we need. And I just can't. I'm getting to. I think because we've been, I would say we've been homeless since we left Plough Lane, 25 years ago. I've always felt we're homeless. Kings Meadow is our ground. Yes, we bought it, we've modified it, but until we get back to Plough Lane and Borough, I won't think that we are officially not homeless anymore, if that makes any sense. And I think it will, probably, to a lot of the older fans, do you know what I mean, that side of it. But I must admit, I can't wait for the planning to be agreed, and I always said to my fiance already that excuse me, every time we go to a home game, once the ground is started to be built, I'll be going past there every home game just to see what's happening.
Yeah, just to see step by step the stadium being constructed, being built, every step along the way.
It's really exciting news, and
it is. I agree with you. Totally agree with you about this idea of, as you say, being homeless since we left Plough Lane, not having. I think Kings Meadow, when it came after 10 years of Selhurst Park. Now, bear in mind that I'm only 24, so I've never known anything but Wimbledon playing away from Plough Lane.
Your maths is getting bad, isn't
it? It's because I'm getting old now. I hit 24. Do you know, your start to leave you, but. Kings Meadow, I think, for many people, a lot of people would say Kings Meadow always felt more like home than Selhurst Park ever did. But I also think part of that was the fact that it was AFC Wimbledon starting from nothing, and Kings Meadow is where we sort of grew, and we were AFC Wimbledon were exclusively Kings Meadow, And I think that was less to do with the stadium, I think, more to do with the fact because we own the club and we felt it was ours, it actually belonged to us, and Kingsmeadow sort of became almost attached to it on the side because we had that. But I don't think, I agree with you completely. I don't think we'll ever feel home until we actually have a stadium which is ours, and it's in Wimbledon. It's got our badge on the side, and do you know what I mean? We're back where we belong. So
yeah, I agree totally.
And as you say, I believe this resolution and recommendation that you said on the front of the report, the planning committee will be presented later today with the resolution on which they will vote, and it just needs a simple majority for approval. I'm not sure how many members are on the committee, but a simple majority, I think, is more than achievable. And as you say, I think the fight has gone out of whatever opposition there is to it.
Yeah, let's be honest, let's not beat around the bush. We never were actively promoted to get back. The people that owned us at the time never really made the effort to get back. And it's the first time we went to the council with a realistic, we want to go home. And it's amazing how the council were able to find us some land. So I think it frustrates me a little bit to think that actually if we really wanted to move home back in the old days, we probably could have. But do you know what? It'll be even sweeter. It'll be even sweeter when we do. And I think there was some special days with Wimbledon, AFC Wimbledon. I look back to first ever game at Sutton as being a momentum occasion. I look back to City of Manchester being one, and I think the first home game at the New Plough Lane would be, the third momentous day, I reckon.
Without wishing to get ahead of ourselves, who would you like to play in our first game at the new stadium?
It's difficult, isn't it? I think another fan zone club. I think that's probably Luton. See, I would love to just play against the biggest fan zone club in the world, which will be Barcelona, but that's unlikely. Although Leicester City did open up their ground against Barcelona. I know, because I was there many years ago and opened up the Leicester Stadium. The Walker Stadium it's called, isn't it? Is that right, the Walker Stadium?
It was at the time, wasn't it? I think it's changed now to something else, but...
Yeah. Do you know what? I don't know. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I'm sure there will be suggestions, could it be... Chelsea probably would be one of the ones you look at.
Oh, man. Can I please make a plea now to anybody at the club listening? Do not make it Chelsea. I hate Chelsea. I don't want them to have... And I mean that. To any Chelsea fans listening, I hate your club, okay? With a passion. So I don't want you having any sort of link with us in regards to... No.
Just to play the devil's advocate on this, we've had links with Chelsea for a long time, and that goes to David Barnard, who's the what's his role at Chelsea? He's quite a high role, isn't he? Like club secretary or chief exec, something like that at Chelsea. Dave Barnard, for all your older people, Dave Barnard used to be obviously club secretary at Wimbledon and then left before he went to Milton Keynes, I believe, all that sort of stuff. But we've had massive links with Dave Barnard. He helped us when we needed guidance on the Jermaine Darlington situation. We with lawyers. He played a big part in getting us people with that. He regularly gives us free advice on stuff. I'm sure he was involved with the selling of the ground of Kingsmeadow to Chelsea. So I know what you're saying, but I think we have a lot of links with Chelsea. At the moment, we just maybe not as direct as we see them.
It's depressing, isn't it?
I don't know. I'm not saying Chelsea's going to be the first game. It was a question that I wasn't prepared for, so I've just been thinking on the top of my head. But I don't know. Who would you like to see us play?
Luton.
Really?
Luton or Barnsley.
It's got to be a game that has some sort of symbolic meaning, isn't it?
Sandhurst Town or someone.
Yeah. Well, I'm not too. I think the thing is, are we going to be a situation like the English FA where we've got to keep trying to get as much money as possible to pay off whatever we've borrowed to get a ground? Do you know what I mean? So does it need to be a money spinner, or is it purely going to be an occasion? If you look at FC United, they played Benfica, didn't they, to open their ground?
Yeah.
I'm not. Yeah.
With respect as well, I know we are rambling on today's show. FC United, by the way, that wanted nothing any more to do with Manchester United because they'd set up their new club and whatever, and they didn't agree with where the old club was going, blah, 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 blah. Their first game at their stadium, which they created, was against Benfica. I'm assuming that was chosen because Manchester United's first European Cup win was against Benfica. It doesn't make sense to me. You can tell I'm tired, can't you? Because I'm being grouchy today.
No, but it was. You're right. You're right. You know, FC United. Hey, they've got some challenges, haven't they? Do you know what I mean? Because they're now moving up the leagues, and they're going to then encounter a lot of the stuff they didn't want to do, i.e. playing on not playing on a Saturday and stuff like that. So that's something they're going to have to deal with. But I don't know. I probably would say so. Like Liverpool
does seem to be fairly
I'd love to see like someone like Barcelona, the ultimate fan zone club. But let's be realistic, is that a possibility? And I wouldn't play if it just meant playing their B team, because that would just be if we're going to play someone, bring down their first team. So let's get a proper fixture. So I don't know.
If Leicester can do it, I don't see why we can't do it. And it's not like Leicester are doing anything particularly great at the moment. I mean, where are they in the league? I don't know. They're not doing anything particularly special, are they?
No, they're just they're not doing too good at all, are they? Do you know what I mean? I think they're
can't even think.
They're sort of a one-man team, aren't they, as well? You think about it.
Yeah. Mahrez. Anyway. Right, thank you very much, Stu. So that's the stadium situation. I'm actually pretty positive many of our listeners will probably already know the result of the stadium vote before now. And if it's gone against us, well, we've jumped the gun a little bit. But I am very confident that we'll get the green light later today. Let's move on then. Let's close up the podcast with two little jobs. Job number one, birthday game. Let's be very, very quick today. No sport-related ones today, I'm afraid, Stu. But I'm sure you've heard of all these people, even if you're not particularly sure about how old they are, because they caught me out, I must admit. So we'll start with actor Kim Basinger.
Oh,
Basinger.
That's a basic one, isn't it? That is Basinger.
Kim Basinger.
She must be getting on a bit, judging by the films that I can remember her being in quite a long time ago. I'd say she's got to be 50-ish. 55.
Not bad. She's actually in her 60s now, can you believe? She's
Bloody
62.
Really?
Yeah, 62.
Wow. She'll soon get that free bus pass if she hasn't got it already.
I'm not... Yeah. Funnily enough, I saw her on the 281 the other day going into Hounslow.
No, just some old person.
She had to pay the full £1.50 still, but yeah, you're right. In a few years' time, she'll be all right. What about singer? Nicki Minaj.
Nicki Minaj? Oh, I don't like Nicki Minaj. The only thing I don't like about pop stuff now is just these, I don't know, just this fake person. A lot of fake people, a lot of fake things on it. It's very model. It's very, how can I put it? I said this the other day to my girlfriend. I think I'm getting old. All I saw was this fake person trying to sing a song, and I mean fake in terms of what she has on her. I'll leave that to imagination. But
the last minute of audio of just you rambling about that is brilliant. Hey, how old do you think Nicki Minaj is?
I don't really care. I don't care about how old she is, really. To be fair, she probably look a lot older without the makeup on. 25.
Yeah, she's 33.
No way. She really?
She's 9 years older than me. Can you believe it?
God damn.
I know.
I'm surprised with that.
Yeah, well, it did me, to be fair, but there we go. Nicki Minaj is 33.
Wow.
And finally, what do you think about Richard Siddle from Clapham in London?
Wow.
He's a mirror reader, if you haven't guessed already.
I'm guessing he is. Richard, I'm assuming it's going to be some sort of random... Richard sounds like a bit of an older name. Just I've got a couple of mates who are called that and they're old. I would say 45.
It's close. But it is his 50th birthday.
Yay! Cool, happy 50th birthday, Richard.
Yeah, well, I'll try and track him down and send him a copy of this podcast. That'll make his birthday extra special.
Of course it will.
Right, final bit then, we'll talk some football at last. Back to action on Saturday with a visit from everybody's second team. Stevenage, currently managed by Teddy Sheringham.
Yes.
Who are picking up slowly after a not so great start. Let's touch on this one very briefly, Stu. Win, lose, or draw?
I think we'll win. It's really going back into sort of league action, isn't it? But if for those of us who obviously had a week off and we totally got what's happened in the season, so we're 12th at the moment. Steamers are 18th. Looking at the form guide, just because I think it's always a good thing to look at. 6-game form guide, we are 9th. We lost 1 in our last 6. So there's a lot of positives in there. Stevenage, by I would say, to 15th. And they've lost 2 of their last 6. So I think home form, we've got to start picking it up. We could have some encouraging news, possibly with Andy Bartram being on the bench. I think that's as best we're going to get. Hopefully Aziz is back from his injury on the Under-21 game against Southend the other week. There's some positive things. Like, Andy Bartram coming in is going to be a new signing, isn't it? So
yeah. We've mentioned on the podcast before about missing that pace in the wide areas, so it will be a welcome return.
I think we have, and as I say, we could probably get David Fitzpatrick on the bench, and let's get back in. We've had 2 weeks off. They had their Christmas party last week. They've had a bit of a knees up. Let's get to serious business, and then let's put some points on the table.
Cool. Thank you very much, Stu. I myself also think we're going to win on Saturday. Forever optimistic for these home games. And we shall see. Remember, you can add your predictions to the Ask a Prediction League if you haven't already. You can see how badly I'm doing this season. You can also follow updates from the game on the Periscope app at AFCW Scope, and there might be the odd update as well from our Twitter account. If you've not followed us yet, please do so at 9YRS Podcast. Lots of extra content related to the podcast going through our Twitter and our Facebook accounts at the moment. So also remember to like us on facebook.com/9YRS Podcast. And please remember, just tell your friends, tell whoever you're standing next to at the game on Saturday, or sitting next to. Of course, we don't discriminate against those who sit in the John Green or the Paul Strank stand or whatever they're called these days. Please just spread the message. Thank you very much to those of you that continue to listen to us every week. Let's just keep boosting those numbers. They're going up and up every single week. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Stu.
Thank you.
And we shall see you next week, where we'll be joined by, sadly, Louis van Gaal, who is probably not in the best of moods right now. We'll see you then.